This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by former world champion Scott Quigg over Zoom. Scott, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's good to join you, and I hope you're keeping well.
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Obviously, I appreciate you giving up some time today. We know you just retired, but how is life in lockdown? How has kind of lockdown changed your maybe your retirement plans?
It's been obviously he's put the retirement plans. What I mean is what I was going to go into and the things I wanted to set up. That's been put on hold, to be honest with you, because it's hard to be. We've been in this lockdown. I can't really. There's certain things that where I need to be to go and set up and get the ball rolling with things. But so nothing at this moment. Nothing's really changed. You know, I'm thankful that I've got a gym in the garden. And to be honest with you, nothing's changed. This is how I've always lived. I've never been the one to socialise much. I've always been in camp, been training, and every morning my daily routine's been the same. Get up, get in the gym, go for a walk, eat healthy, and then get back in the gym later on. There's not been nothing else much that we can do under the circumstances. So to be able to just keep a level head and keep in a good place, I've just been keeping myself busy, keeping myself active as much as possible.
Have you found yourself kind of picking up any new skills during lockdown?
Well, nothing new. But I mean, I've been working on my skill in the gym and that. But other than that, nothing new, to be honest with. Other than just learning to be more patient, because there's no other choice.
Having kept to a similar routine to what you had throughout your career with regards to being able to get up, go to the gym in the morning, and having a session on the evening, are you getting itchy knuckles at all? Are you there thinking, do I want to have another crack? Do I want to come back?
Like I say, I've kept to the same routine, and because it's all I know, to be honest with you. It's all through my career. I've lived the same life, and been very disciplined, very dedicated, and like I said, that's how I've just kept living. Have I got itchy knuckles? Listen, I love boxing. I'd love to fight again as well. But like I said, when I say itchy knuckles, I have no reason to get back in the ring. The main thing is I've retired healthy, financially secure, and there'd be no reason for me to come back other than if I really wanted to, and I believed I've still got it. And there's certain things that I'd make sure I'd go out and do, but especially I don't think there's a chance that I will come back. I probably would, but I don't think my mum would let me. My mum's the boss. So the main thing is like I said, I'm happy. I believe that I never cut any corners, and I don't have any regrets regarding my career. I gave it 110%, and I achieved everything I could achieve.
Obviously, we want to reflect over some of the fights throughout your career, but let's go back to the last one. Against Carroll, I remember in the build-up to it, I spoke to Joe. Joe said everything went swimmingly in camp. He said that you looked brilliant. I remember you yourself said everything went as good as you could have done. I did an interview with somebody yesterday, with Manny Robles, and he reflected on the Ruiz-Joshua fight, and obviously after the rematch in Saudi, it all came out. Ruiz took to like a partying lifestyle, what have you. Didn't have the perfect camp, which they said. With yourself, was it an actual perfect camp in your own, or was it just you couldn't say to Jono, it wasn't a brilliant camp?
I didn't check in because I wouldn't take anything away from how Jono boxed. I thought he boxed a very good fight, and like I said, the camp that I had, I was happy. I was happy with how it went. So there was no lies. I weren't making any excuses. I wasn't. Do I think it wasn't the sharpest I'd been in the camp? But what I mean is, everything that we did, I was happy. I was feeling good. And like I said, I expected to go in there and win. You know, there wasn't any doubt in my mind. Obviously, in sparring is totally different to fighting, and obviously whether I was sparring well, the preparation that we put in the gym was, I believe, were good enough. You know, like I say, I was happy with everything, and it was probably one of the happiest camps I've had, to be honest with you. So I weren't miserable at all. Everything, so I was really looking forward to it. But I still was under no illusions that, you know, it's all right doing it in the gym, in sparring, and you know, we was doing the thing. But it was on fight night, I believe, because of the time out the ring, maybe I wasn't, I'd forgot how real time was, you know, and that was how it felt when I was in there. It just felt like I could see what Jono wanted to do and was going to do, but he was already a step ahead, you know. And when he'd do something, and then I'd think, well, I'm going to counter this. Once I'd blocked or whatever, when I went to counter, he'd already gone, you know. So I was just a second behind. And like I say, I thought he boxed a very good fight, to be fair to him.
Do you think that's just a matter of, you know, age catching up with you, you know, your experience, the amount of, you know, fights you've had in and wars you've had in the ring? Do you think it all just kind of come together on that night then?
Maybe, like I said, maybe. But I don't. I mean, I've had a few wars. I've never been the main one was the Valdes fight. That was one where, you know, but I've said on a couple of interviews recently that was probably one of my favourite fights. You know, one of the most enjoyable fights. You know, it was everything I like about a fight. You know, just having a good ding dong. But do I think? No, I don't think I don't believe I've took much punishment through my career. You know, a few people have said, you know, you've had a good career, you've had an hard career, and I think I've not really. Me personally, I don't believe I've took much punishment. People think I take a lot of shots the way I fight, which is a lot of nonsense. You know, in some fights, and especially in the Valdes fight, I look like an avatar monster at the end of it. You know, my nose was spread across my face, but it's like I said, I wouldn't change anything about my career, to be honest with you. You know, that's what it's made me the person I am today.
A few fights I do want to reflect on with you. Start off with that Valdes fight you mentioned there. Obviously, it was an all-out war. It was a brilliant fight to watch as a neutral. I'm sure it wasn't as nice to be involved in.
No, it was. You know, I can't actually express it enough that is probably my most favourite fight. It felt, I mean, it was out in America, but it felt like it was at home in Bury or Manchester, because it was, excuse my language, but it was absolutely pissing down. You know, it was a good occasion, and it's one, like I say, one of the most memorable, enjoyable things I remember about my career.
Obviously, before the fight, there was a lot of talk about the weights. Obviously, you came in just under 3 pound heavier than what the limit was at 126. We've never actually spoken about, you know, yourself and Boxing Social. When you go back to that, what was it? How did you miss the weight so badly? Was it on purpose or?
No, like, and that's why I giggle now. Like, he's 4 weeks before I'd fractured my foot. So 4 weeks before the fight, I fractured my foot. So I couldn't really. I could hardly move. Like do any. So basically, I was doing pads on the spot. all I could do is cycle, like, which was only, and I could only get a certain intensity because I couldn't press my foot on the pedaling as much. So that was basically for 4 weeks. I was training with a fractured foot. So then, when it come to nearer the fight, obviously I started to bring my weight down a lot earlier than I probably should, and I cut certain things out, and I wasn't educated enough. You know, I didn't have the nutritionist that I brought on after that. So I didn't know. So what I was doing, I was having the wrong thing, and I'd cut my water out, or I'd cut certain things out. So I'd lost too much weight too early. So being that low near the weight, my body started to hold on to it. So then I couldn't get the intensity to shift the last couple of pounds. And what I did to try and shift it, you probably wouldn't have let me fight anyway. So then it got to about 4 o'clock on the Friday morning of the weigh-in, and I'd been in the bath probably about an hour and 20 minutes, yeah. And I lost about 0.3 of a pound. And I thought, nah, I'm not doing it anymore. So in the end, I think from 10 o'clock in the morning, I was about 1.2 pound over. And I just thought, sack it. After what I'd done the night before, so like from Thursday night up until that point, I thought, sack this if you don't want to think. And so I went and got a bottle of water, a coffee, and just thought, whatever I'll be. And then, because I really had I didn't think you were going to take the fight. And I thought, to be honest with you, if he doesn't, it does me a favour, because the way I've actually trained for the last 4 weeks, and what I'd done the night before, and like that final week to try and make that weight, there was no way, I thought, well, if he's not going to take the fight, then. So then, after I weighed in, and I come in at whatever, however it was.
28.8, I think.
Yeah, it's not like that. So, and then, so obviously I come in there reading everyone, blah, blah. So then, so I was doing an interview, and Valdes were doing an interview, like about 2 meters away. And I'm not even listening to the questions of what I'm being asked. But I'm listening to what he's saying, because the interview that he was doing, it was in English as well. And he asked him, are you still going to fight? With him coming in heavy, or is there a danger of the fight being called off? And he went, no, we're still going to fight. I've not trained like this to not to fight and that. So I knew his mindset and his mind was he still wanted to fight. There was no way he weren't going to fight. So when he was telling me that I had to weigh in the next morning, or he was going to do this, or there's no fight, I knew he still wanted to fight. So that's why I refused everything, because there was already, I think I got fined $30,000. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, don't fight me, and I weigh in the next day. But obviously, they fined me $30,000. So I went, no, I'm not weighing in. And he said, right, the fight's off. I said, no worries. But I knew the fight weren't going to be off, because I know he still wanted to fight. But like I say, it weren't that, because I didn't refuse to weigh in because out of stubbornness, because for me to actually get to that fight and get that close to the weight with what I had to do, and train for 4 weeks with a fractured foot, and obviously going to fight with a fractured foot, I thought, I've already put myself through all this to get to this point. So if you don't want to fight, don't fight. But the worst thing as well, obviously going into the fight, the worst thing that I could have done was break his jaw, because then he changed his plan and started boxing and moving, and then obviously I was a lot slower on my feet. I think the only chance I had really was to just swing with him and catch him. But like I said, every credit to him. I thought he boxed, because I know what it's like to fight with a broken jaw, and he kept his cool, he kept a good game plan, and he boxed a very, very good fight.
The reason why I asked, was it on purpose? Because I remember reading at the time, people were saying, did he do it on did you miss weight on purpose just to give yourself a bit of an advantage, even though you knew you couldn't win the world title, just to ensure you had a bit of an advantage to try to win the fight? When you was reading stuff like that, or people kind of saying how unhappy they were and how much they didn't agree with the fact you missed weight over social media and what have you, what was going through your mind?
I really couldn't care. I think I couldn't give a, excuse my language, I couldn't give a shit what anybody said, because I know, and the people close to me and the people who knew what I did to try and make the weight, you still to this day you get idiots piping up on social media talking nonsense, and the same people, if they seen you, would come and shake your hand. That didn't have any effect on me whatsoever, because like I said, I don't live for other people's opinions. I don't do things for other people's opinions, as long as I'm happy with what I do, and at the end of the day, it's about just making sure you're content with what you do and know that you've cut no corners and have no regrets and stuff like that. So no matter what walk of life it is, it really doesn't, you're always going to get people that are going to have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. So it didn't really bother me in the slightest, to be honest with you.
Another thought I wanted to touch on was obviously that fight with Carl Frampton. The build up to it was brilliant. You both had such a burning desire to win, to get one over each other. Just reflect on that entire kind of experience, the rivalry you both built up, and then the fight itself. What do you remember about it all?
It was, I say, the occasion. It was the really the first big pay per view for small guy, open since Nazim, really, for a big pay per view event for two small guys, and to be involved in that, we both needed each other. It's like you say, sometimes you need a dance partner to create an event like that, to be honest with you, and being involved in that. Obviously, the fight didn't go the way I wanted. We got the tactics wrong. Also, then didn't help with me getting my jaw snapped. But it was, like I said, it was a shame that the fight didn't live up to what potentially it could have been. But like I said, the whole occasion, it was something that it was great to be involved in.
What was the plan going into the Frampton fight?
The plan was to frustrate him, and it was more of the because obviously he was expecting me to go forward, so then he was good at countering, picking people off and trying to land the big heavy counters. So the plan was to obviously bring him on, try and play him with his own game, and then after about 4 or 5 rounds, then start upping the pace, because we believed his energy used to go and he used to tire quite quickly. But again, he just, in the first 4 or 5 rounds, nothing really happened. It was he didn't really. But the thing is, it looked like he was bossing the fight because he was on the front foot. And then obviously I got the jaw broke. And then once, I think it was from round 7 onwards, once I found out that what Sky had it, and the admin, and I was like, well, because I didn't feel like I was getting it. I didn't feel like I was under any pressure. But then when I watch it back, I can see he looks like he's in control. He looks like he's busier. So I can totally understand. And when I actually watched the fight back, I actually give it him by about a round or two. Me actually watching the fight. But as soon as I found out what the scores were, that's when I just thought, sack this, and that's when I started going forward, and that's when the fight changed.
How difficult a loss was that to take, given that the rivalry you'd both built up throughout the entire process, from when the fight was announced and until you'd both had fought?
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily, don't get me wrong, it was obviously difficult because massive fight, it was all over the coverage it got, the publicity it got, and everything like that. So it was hard it was hard, but the thing that I found hard was with having the job, I couldn't train. I had to have so long out the gym. So I wanted to be back in the gym to put right what I did wrong. And with me being out the gym and not being able to do that, I was obviously fed up. When I don't like using the word depressed, because there's a lot of people that suffer from depression, and but I do believe I was depressed, and I was eating. I put loads of weight on, and that was the hardest, but obviously because I think I went up to over 12 stone, and that is a stupid amount of weight for me, and I think that was what I found more difficult, because I couldn't train, and all I could think about what I needed to do. I didn't really have anything else outside of boxing, to take my mind off things, and all my mind was, I need to get better, but I couldn't train. So that's what made it difficult. It wasn't necessarily getting beat. Obviously, I was gutted that I got beat, but it was more the fact that I couldn't get back in the gym and put right what I needed to put right in. My daily routine had totally been ripped up.
Just with Carl, before we do move on, he's obviously looking to face Jamal Herring up at super featherweight for the WBO world title. What are your thoughts on that, Scott, if we was to see that at some point in the near future?
I think that's a tough fight. I do think, when I say tough fight, I think, especially through size as well, I think, but obviously you look at what he's achieved, and that you don't write him off, and I think obviously the chance to become a freeweight world champion is obviously that's gonna give him something between his teeth, and really, there's not many fighters that achieve becoming a freeweight world champion. So he's definitely got a chance, but I do think it's a very tough fight, style wise, size wise, and a few other things. But you can't say he can't pull it off. I mean, I hope he does, but I do think it's a tough ask.
Another fight I wanted to reflect of yours is the Rendell Monroe fight. It's the first one. How gutting was it? How gutting was that first fight when it came down to the technical draw?
Oh, I was gutted because I found it so easy, and I knew what happened in the second fight would have happened in the first fight. And people can, and I remember at the time, people, because I was saying it was, because it looked like he was, on the front foot, and he was, how people would think, how he used to grind people down, and people will think, oh, he eventually would have got to me. Honestly, I knew, so I was absolutely gutted the way it ended. But then at the same time, I got paid very good money for the same fight twice, to do the same job. So I looked at it as a positive in that way. And I think the second fight, obviously, because it was on the undercard of Hatton's final fight, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was.
What?
Yeah, I think it was at the arena. So it was it happened on a bigger platform, bigger exposure. So in a way, it worked out for the better, to be honest with you.
What goes through a fighter's mind when they have, it was your first crack at a world title? What goes through your mind when it's kind of taken away from you, from something out of your own hands?
It's hard, but then at the same time, it could be very difficult because obviously the frustration, knowing that you're so close, and like I say, you have no control over it, and it was just a freak accident. But then them little things make you a part of the things that you have to go through. Obviously, the frustration and stuff, but then it also, going through that frustration and going through the difficulty of it just adds to the character, and actually builds you as a fighter. And it was a good thing, to be honest, because obviously I had that. Then I had another camp. I went out to America before the second fight. We had the whole second fight. I brought in, world class sparring from America. So it was all in a way. It was all another educational building as a fighter, getting better. And then you see the second fight. I totally took him apart. From the Monroe fight, then it got upgraded, so that I was already world champion. It is what it is, and then obviously, because that's why when I fought Salinas, it was a draw. It was nice, and still world champion. It's one of them. These many belts and these many things. Does it bother? Does it bother me? Does it? It doesn't. Because it's like people could say, "Well, you've never won a world title in the ring." Obviously, I've had some good wins, but it's that doesn't dampen my career, because at the end of the day, what anybody else thinks of my career or what I've achieved, if they think it's a lot of nonsense or they think whatever, I can look in the mirror there and I'm content with everything I've achieved in my career. You again, everyone's going to have an opinion, but the only real person's opinion that matters is what you think of yourself.
Scott, before I do let you go, I just want to get your thoughts on a few other things in the boxing world at the minute and the current state of boxing, with obviously everything being on lockdown, shows trying to be made once again. First and foremost, what are your thoughts on Eddie Hearn's fight camp proposal to have shows put on at the Matchroom HQ?
I mean, you can't fault him, to be honest with you. I don't know what other people's opinions are, but you can't fault him. He'll take obviously every precaution going and needed for safety of all the fighters and for everybody, who is actually in attendance there at the Matchroom place. But you've got to give credit where it's due to Eddie, because he's took the game to another level. There's certain things he does, and the way he does it his way, and he's, like I say, it's only a positive, And at the end of the day, he's doing it not for himself, He's doing it because, for instance, the fighters still need to earn money. Fighters have no income, obviously. I know people are at work at this moment, but I don't know what this furlough thing, how many people get paid, whatever. But you can't fault him, and it's a risk for him but he's willing to take that risk, and if he can pull it off, like I say, the reward's a lot bigger than if he pulls it off. The reward's a lot bigger than the risk.
What are your thoughts of boxing returning without fans, obviously behind closed doors?
See, that's a strange one. I think it all depends on the fighter. Some fighters could do it. It will be. I think fighters who agree to doing it, I think, need to have a real good think of what it potentially could be like. Do you know what I mean? Is they need to have it's not just, well, I could fight you, I spar, because you spar in the gym, not many people, totally different. Imagine, for instance, imagine, for instance, Eric Morales and Marco Antonio, yeah? Imagine a fight behind closed doors like that. What I'm trying to say is, do you really think they would have the same oomph and be able to grind out when they're going through them real tough patches? And that's where the fans and the atmosphere and everything that comes into it. That's what generates and helps fights become them sort of fights, because of the atmosphere. Are you really gonna go to the one, put your life on the line? You put your life on the line every time you step through them ropes, yeah. But are you gonna put your life on the line in an absolute tough as hell fight when you can't? When you could hear a pin drop? I think that's the thing that fighters have to understand, especially when it's all right if you're fighting. You're a prospect coming through and you're fighting someone who you're expected to beat. But when you're fighting at the highest level, and at the top level, it can be 1% the difference between winning and losing. I think them are the fights that they've got to think, is this, you've got to be mentally prepared for it. And whether Eddie comes up with some sort of thing where it's going to make it sound like there's a crowd in there, or to make it whatever, I don't know. But I do think it'll be different, and I just think the fight. I think it can work, but I think it all depends on the fighters. Some fighters have said they'll do it. Some fighters have said they won't. But at the end of the day, I think it'll come down to, as well, certain fighters that think about the money and need the money, and that's what will push more fighters into it.
Well, Scott, we will leave that there now, because I know that I've taken probably a bit more of your time than you thought I would do this morning. But it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Before I let you go, though, what would you like to say to everybody who tunes in to watch our interview?
Listen, and just everyone who tunes in, and I'm grateful for all the support I've had over my career. And because without the support and without the people that put bums on seats, I wouldn't have been able to do it for a living. And it's all the support I've had and all the negative support and everything like that. It's all part of the game, and it's like I say, it's all greatly appreciated.
Scott, it's been a pleasure, as I say, to catch up with you. I'll keep in touch, and I'm sure we'll be able to do this again soon. Stay safe. Hope you and your family are all good, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you, mate.